going on, guys? Hopefully this video finds you well, safe and sound, outside of all this craziness that is our lives in 2020. And today I'm going to talk about something that is, it's a very sensitive topic. It is something that divides people. It is, let's just get into it, because I think I actually have a solution. This is not a joke. This is not satire. It's not bullshit. I think I really have a solution for it after discussing the situation many times with many different people from many different angles. And I think that's where you really start to find solutions and answers, when you get as many points of opinion or many opinions or points of reference as you can to try to figure out how to solve this problem. Now, the Black Lives Matter movement that has, we're going to take apart the fact that some people say it's not about Black lives, it's a terrorist organization, but the concept itself is what I want to talk about today, because when George Floyd was actually murdered, it did bring forth a talk about change, and I believe that was a very legitimate talk. Now, things have gone sideways, which happens many times, but I want to just point this out because it's something that myself and a few people around me started to realize. We started discussing, and the more we started discussing and brainstorming, the more we started to realize that this may have been done on purpose. Now, without getting too specific in history, because I'm not the biggest history buff, many African Americans, Black people, get very upset about equality issues, the way that they're treated, the way they see it. It's not even sometimes them, it's other people they see that are treated certain ways. And they all want change. You know, everybody that stands up and believes in Black Lives Matter or the original, incarnation of it, they believe they want change. And they believe that their voice needs to be heard, right? And when you say, well, why don't you do something? They say, well, I'm protesting. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I need to be heard. I need to be heard. I need to be heard. It's okay, why do you need to be heard? They said, well, because we need to draw attention to this subject. I'm like, okay, why do you need to draw attention? So we can change it. I'm like, okay. Now, what does that mean? Well, we need to have elected officials that are going to look out for our best interests. We need these elected officials to do X, Y, and Z to help out our communities. We need elected officials, da-da-da. I said, okay, so you're basically being told somehow, or you've been explained to, or you've been guided, whatever the word you want to use is, that to solve your problem and get equality, you just need to elect the right person or people, correct? Yeah. I'm like, okay. Now here's the catch. Who are those people? Politicians, people that have been around for a long time doing nothing anyways, people that have failed at policies in other areas. You're going to try to hope that maybe this time they get it right for you. Seems a little strange, right? But we still have been using this system since slaves were free, and it still keeps failing. And what we do is we just pop up and find the next person that's going to help. And if they fail, we pop up and find the next person that's going to help. And when they fail, I don't think anybody realizes what's going on right now is today, the equality you want today started 50 years ago. And what you're doing today, 50 years from now, may show the results if it's done the right way. They have left, and when I say they, I mean the powers that be, the people that do want you to be oppressed, people do not want you to be equal, have left out the one piece that could solve this whole issue and get you equality that you are looking for. And that is to do it yourself. Meaning you're not looking for the right politician. You're not trying to find the right person that's going to fight for you. You become the person that's going to fight for you and everyone else. That's how it works. But you haven't been given that piece of information. You've been given a piece of information that guides you to just pick who's over here already, see which one you think is the best, and they're all nasty, dirty politician fucks. So none of them are really out for you. But the person who's not a lifetime politician, who starts going into politics specifically, not for a career, because they want to change their community and the communities around them, so they start with local government, that's where things change. And that's what I'm starting to see now. People in Baltimore, people in Michigan, different communities, people popping up to run for these local governments that never would have done it before. Now, that's a really hard concept to grasp if you think, okay, well, that means I have to understand politics, which, yes, you do. It means you would have to go to school. You would have to go probably to college. You'd have to go through all the hard process that it would take in order for you. Sorry, we ran out of room over here on the card. But you'd have to go through all that long processes over the course of your lifetime to get to the position where you could help. And that, I think, really, most people, or a lot of people in general, may look at that time frame and say, man, that's a lot of work to do. That's 20, 30 years out of my life that I really have to just focus on that, concentrate on that, and that makes you start to go, well, that's not for me, it's for someone else. Well, that's what happens. Everybody thinks it's for someone else. And then you wind up picking the people that are already there that you're being told to pick, which are handpicked by the people who want to control you anyways, that you think they're going to help you out, and they don't do shit. And every year it's the same thing. It's you're trying to find that, or every 4 years, it's the same thing. You're trying to find the next person that's going to fight for you. And you never thought for a second that you might be the one to fight for everybody. That's how it works. Now, a good example of this, and of course it's not politics, right? So has nothing to do with equality or politics or anything like that. But Vin Diesel, of all people, you're like, Jerry, what the fuck? Listen, just bear with me. So Vin Diesel is very inspirational to me. Matter of fact, the reason that you know who I am and you're watching this today is partly due to Vin Diesel. And I'll explain where this came from. So it's not so much of who Vin Diesel is, it's more of what he's done, and what he did I use as a blueprint to try to do for the same thing for myself. Now, Vin Diesel wanted to be in movies, right? Just like many of you want equality. And when you're in a movie, you have two ways of getting there. You have like an agent, or somebody sees you, pretty much, right? That's how you're getting into major motion pictures, how you're getting into movies. Usually you don't just send in a tape and all of a sudden they make you a blockbuster movie star. That's not how it works. Usually somebody sees some of your work, or they've handpicked you through somewhere that they've seen you. So Vin Diesel says, well, I don't know where to start. So I can either wait around for someone to choose me for something, which could take till I'm 50 years old, or it could never happen. I could be in the wrong place at the wrong time all the time. Or I could start by making my own movie. And once I make that movie, people will see that movie, and that might get me noticed. Interesting concept. Take your destiny in your own hands. So he buys a book, Making Movies on a Used Car Budget. I'll never forget the name of that book. He makes a movie called Strays. Strays was an independent film. Strays led to the next movies that he got, which eventually was Pitch Black. There were multiple, I think it was Boiler Room, Knockaround Guys. Strays was the catalyst for that. He took his destiny to his own hand and became a movie star, a global phenomenon movie star. Everybody knows who Vin Diesel is, and he did it himself. He did it with his own hard work, and he started here and knew that over here was a long way away, and it took all that work to get there. But now he's Vin Diesel that we know, right? That's the same thing in your communities. All you have to do is decide that you're not going to let people do it for you that haven't been doing it. You're not just going to pick the best of the worst of the options that you have because they align with as many things as you possibly think that person could help you with. That's where you're at now. Imagine if you took all of that, well, this is the best that we have to do, and you actually went out and did it yourself, right? They talk about police reform. Why don't more people, because it's not going to happen the way you guys are trying to do it. It hasn't happened, it's not going to. More people, more good people, need to go out there and take on those jobs for themselves. Well, then you got to go through school because you have to have a degree. Then you have to go through the police academy. You have to go through all these different processes to be able to get to that point. Well, you have to go through that hard work and those growing pains to make change happen. Whether it's for the police academy, becoming a politician, whatever the case may be, you could even just open your own business and hire only minorities. You could start your own business and hire, I've seen people do this before, they call it the Second Chance Foundation. I think Mel Chansey actually called his gym Second Chance Gym, where you would only hire people that were former prisoners, that you're giving them a second chance. You create change. Stop looking for the people that you want to pay by throwing your tax dollars at them to create change for you when they never have and they never will. Change begins with you. It begins at home. It begins here, and this stuff goes outwards. This stuff is what creates your reality. Do you want to change the world? Do you want equality? It starts with you. It doesn't start with a video online. It doesn't start with a protest. It doesn't start with you electing an official. It starts with you taking your destiny in your own hands and going out there and doing what needs to be done for the better good of everyone. Who's going to be that leader? If not you, who? That's the missing piece of the puzzle. You've been sitting around waiting so long for someone to take care of shit for you that you forgot if you take care of it yourself, you don't have to wait for anyone. I do believe this is a solution. I believe that people need to just rearrange their ways of living, rearrange their thought process, rearrange how they think things work, and go out there and take the bull by the horns, the bull by the horns, the bull by the balls, the bull by the horns. Just mixing up phrases here. But you got to go out there and take the bull by the horns and wrestle that motherfucker yourself. And when you're done wrestling, hopefully you come out on top. Sometimes people don't, but that's the chance you take. But what you have been doing decade after decade after decade is not fucking working. Do you know what the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Why is that happening? I know this is some pretty deep shit, and I know some people are going to be like, Jerry, what the fuck? But, break it down. Think about it. Don't react emotionally to it, but think about what I'm saying. Sit on it for a couple of days, mull over it. I think you'll realize that I'm right. Change begins with you, not what you can say to try to get someone else to change and conform. You have to change by leading example and building inward, outward. It doesn't work by you have an idea and you want to build outward back towards you. It builds the opposite way. And if every person, say there's 100 people and they're all building like this outwards, that's a better world right there. Easier said than done. However, the blueprint and knowing how to do it, that's half the battle. I'm BioStreet and I approve this message, and we're out.